British artist about something which bewilders me, and I genuinely like do not understand how it's a thing. Do you know that in Britain, jaywalking is actually legal? Like, unironically, and I'm like, okay, so what is the sidewalk for then? Like, why do you even have the crosswalk? Why even bother painting it? Is like a recommendation. Do you know what he told me? He told me that is the only freedom they have left. It's the only thing you can do without a license. And I'm like, okay, fine, but I mean, I guess the government is pretty much going like, well, it's on you, I guess. You know, like jaywalk at your own risk. Yeah. No, because when I was in London, um, I noticed that a lot of people were jaywalking on like crossing the street when the light was red, and I was thinking, you know, I've been to my capital and I seen people that are jaywalking, but it wasn't this bad. I mean, like literally, like every single street light, like everyone was doing whatever the fuck they want. Is that? And I was behaving the same way I behave in Romania, which is basically even if the street is empty, if the light is red, you just wait. Um, and you behave this way because you basically train yourself to just wait. You know, like if you reach the point where the street is empty, the light is red, and you waited for it to go green, then you know you have like a practice. So the chance of you accidentally going when the light is red is very low. But I was doing the same in London, right? And then I saw a cop, and I was like, look, a police officer, a Billy, they call them Billies, a Billy. Like surely he is going to find this job. And then I see the cop just walking on the red light, and I'm like, what the? And then when I looked it up, because I was curious, like, what is the punishment? And I noticed that it's actually legal to walk on a red light in London. Sorry about this. I just realized that it's 12 a.m. If you choose not to use the rainbow crossroads, it's a hate crime. Is it though? I know like there were people that left skid marks on the crossroads. Yeah, I am genuinely curious if you made the joke or if you're saying something real. Let's see. Not using a rainbow crosswalk hate crime. Hmm. Nope, apparently not. But there have been people who have been arrested for vandalizing the Rainbow Crossroads by leaving skid marks on them. So apparently, if you leave them intentionally, like if you go with your car and you go like on it, it's a hate crime. It's very bizarre, isn't it? Yeah, you say it's a joke, but the fact that I have to fact check it and look into it is really telling, isn't it? If people start doing it, it won't be a joke anymore. I think you can actually get in trouble at a university if you do it, right? Like, there was a guy who filmed himself at a university refusing to use the rainbow stairs, and apparently he got in trouble. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think you would get in trouble with the cops, but you may definitely get in trouble with your progressive friends. Anyway, right, I asked ChatGPT for something interesting, and it gave me the most wholesome response ever. So I asked ChatGPT if I'm a Romanian and I behave in a stereotypical manner, how would I culture clash with Japan? And this is what ChatGPT said. It said that if a Romanian were to act in a manner that strongly embodies stereotypical aspects of Romanian culture, Well, it's essentially to remember that stereotypes don't represent everyone. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, there might be several cultural differences that would stand out in Japan. Here are a couple: directness versus indirectness. Romanians, like many Europeans, can be quite direct in their communication. Japanese culture, on the other hand, often values indirectness and subtlety. Being too forward or blunt could be perceived as rude or inconsiderate in Japan. Yeah, I heard like Japanese people, usually when they don't want to do something, they go like, right? Like, is this like when they pull air through the teeth, like, choto. Yeah, it's that's what I've been told. I don't know if it's true or not, but I definitely would believe. Like they act like they're uncomfortable. It's like if you invite them to a wedding, right, and they don't want to go, they will be like, I don't know, maybe, like something like that. Very subtle, basically. Personal space. While Romanians might be more physically expressive and use touch, like hugging. Okay, so we're not Russians or Italians. We do hug each other sometimes, but you kind of get the vibe, you get the mood, you get the feel. I noticed that even in Romania, the whole hugging and kissing thing is starting to die off. Unless if you're in a rural area, right? Everyone's like, oh. But other than that, it's just handshakes. Though I did hear that handshakes are kind of meh in Japan. Like it's usually bowing. Like you just volume and expressiveness. Romanians, especially when enthusiastic or passionate about the subject, can be loud and expressive. In Japan, especially in public settings, people tend to be more reserved and value quietness. That is correct. Yes. If someone is overjoyed or excited, yeah, they do get loud. And in Japan, it is actually said that you should always be quiet, even in public transport. Like, don't use phones. They have like this culture that's taken to the extreme, but it's basically like don't bother other people, right? Like respect other people. We have that in Romania too, to a certain degree. It's called treat others the way you would like to be treated, but we don't take it to like an extreme. It's basically like. Like you wouldn't want to play music late at night if it bothers the neighbors type of thing. But like if you're in a public transport and you want to talk with someone and you're having a good time and you're laughing and stuff, that's fine, because you're thinking like, okay, but like if someone else did it, it wouldn't bother me that much, So like I guess like we're more tolerant of people doing certain things. Like if someone is genuinely having fun and he is not doing it in order to ruin the fun of others, like he's not purposefully being obnoxious, right? So I think like the best way to put it is like this: if you're in a public transport and you're using your phone on speaker, or you're talking very loud on your phone, or you're listening to music, yes, like that is considered unacceptable. But if you're on the public transport and you're with some friends and you're talking about something and you start to laugh and it's a little bit loud, no one is going to be upset over that, right? Like people are going to understand, well, he's having a good time. So I guess like that is a middle ground. Punctuality. Both cultures value punctuality, but in Japan it's taken to another level, especially in business settings. Even being a few minutes late can be considered rude. Isn't punctuality white supremacy, though? I've been told by the Americans. No, here in Romania as well, punctuality is important, especially in business settings. It is considered rude if someone isn't punctual. So we do value it. The thing that I heard, though, is that in Japan, you need to be 1 hour early for work. So if work begins at 8, you need to be there at 7. And the reason for this is that you're supposed to prepare for work 1 hour, right? And preparing means socializing with the other employees. Like that's part of the job. Like you're supposed to go there, drink coffee and talk with them, like forming the team spirit, basically. But other than that, it's like if you're at the workplace, you need to turn on the computer, you need to set your papers in order. They don't pay you for that. So it's expected that you do that on your own time. Social drinking. While Romanians might toast and have a strong drink, like Tsuika, during celebrations or gatherings, it's important to know when and where such behavior is appropriate in Japan. For example, getting visibly drunk can be seen as inappropriate. See, like this is indeed a stereotype that bothers me about Eastern Europe. It is inappropriate here to be drunk on the streets. Like, it's not something that's acceptable. Like, if I were to get drunk and I would just pass out on the streets and a friend of mine saw me, my reputation would be in shambles. Now, there are certain people, you know, homeless people, I don't know, like certain alcoholics that don't have like any sort of standing in society, right? They don't really care about their reputation, which, yeah, they do get drunk and sometimes they fall on the street. But I'm pretty sure like that happens in Japan. I guess like the difference is that people believe that it's socially acceptable in Eastern Europe just because it happens more often. I think it happens more often because of the cold as well. Like, a lot of people drink heavily during winter. So they get to feel that they're warming up, even though it's not good to do that. So, yeah, you get more people falling. But it's a rare event, by the way. Like, I think I see more drunk people in London when I was there. And by drunk, I mean, like, people that were completely wasted on the street that I have seen in my town in months. Like maybe if I see one or two people that are flat out drunk a year. Like, that's... But like, for some reason, people believe that in Europe, everyone is drunk on the street. I don't know why. Like, maybe that's what happens in Russia, or like if you go more eastwards. But it is uncommon in Romania. Respect for rules and order. Japan places a strong emphasis on societal rules, orderliness, and queuing. While Romanians generally follow rules too, the level of adherence seen in Japan, especially in public setting, can be more meticulous. I mean, I don't have a comparison to know, but thank you for the 5 CHF, Lucius. There are videos of police horses being scared of rainbow crosswalks. Ridiculous on how bumping fists has replaced handshaking. That is true, actually. I have seen the videos with the horses refusing to cross. F communism, long live buyers board. Thank you, JDA, for being a member for 7 months. People still drink in Londonistan? Apparently they do. Regarding the rules, though, I don't know, like, I would have to compare it. But here in Romania, we do have, like, an entire culture of queuing. So, we queued since the bread lines. Like, let me show you just how you develop a culture of queuing. So, Romanian bread line. I don't think Americans have seen anything like this. I think this is bizarre for Americans to see, but okay. This is actually a short queue. Right, so the bread, I think, is actually... No, it's... Yeah, like, you have to go in here, right? This is actually a small queue. Let me see if I can find a bigger one. People were queuing for bread, by the way. It's not, it's not like a queue for the new iPhone. But these queues, they would have gone for miles sometimes. And I'm trying to find a picture that shows that. I think this one is better. Right, so when we had benefited from the Romanian golden era, which was called communism, you would often have these queues. Again, like, this is not a good example, right? Why can't I find any? Like, I used to... It's so bizarre. I think, like, Google is removing communist shit. There's no way I can explain it, because there used to be so many pictures of people queuing for bread in communist countries, and now that I'm actually using the search, I can barely find anything. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but it's just fucking bizarre. Let me see if I can search it in Romanian. Oh, look, if I search it in Romanian and I don't search it in English, then I find shit. Oh, great. Okay, yeah, so basically, this is how it looked like. Right? And again, like, these people were standing in queue for bread, not the new iPhone, not the new PlayStation. If you were to cut in queue, you would be lynched. I'm not kidding. It's kind of like an evolution, you know? The strong survive. You need to adapt yourself for the new environment by not cutting in queue. People didn't care if you were an old lady. They didn't care if you were pregnant. They didn't care if you were a war veteran that was pregnant and had an arm miss. They didn't give a shit. You queued. You went to the back of the fucking queue. Yeah, the idea that you can talk to someone and like, no. You queued. That's what you did. Especially the queue for milk. Like the queue for milk would start at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. And the reason for it is that they didn't have a lot of milk. Like they would sell it within a couple of hours. So yes, you could queue for milk at 4 a.m. and by the time you got in, tough luck. Right, so with this we have a strong culture of queuing. Like even now, if there is a queue, people will sit. They will not cut in line. They will not do anything. I have seen old ladies trying to rig the system and try to use their elderness as an advantage of bypassing. No. You don't. You queue. There have been a couple of assholes recently that, with, for example, like they would talk to someone about the time and then they would just sit next to that other person. I have seen it happening and people, for some reason, are becoming more tolerant. But like, what's interesting is that if you were to go to this lady and you would ask her, hey, can I sit next to you or can I sit in front of you? If she said yes, then the people from the back would fucking complain. Like queuing was kind of like a blood sport. Very violent. I don't blame them. I mean, dude, imagine in the cold, sitting, or in the scorching heat. Like, sitting for fucking hours and then a chucklehead goes in front of you trying to... that doesn't fucking happen. Again, like, they get lynched. I'm not kidding. Like you think that I'm joking? No. Like, there have been fights over this. The cops got involved, and the person that broke the queue was begging the cops to get him out of there. Hi V, hope your day is good. And America make manga too. No, they make comic books. Romanian queue. I finally caught you live. Keep up the good work. Why, thank you, Cero. Moral of the story is straight from the source, the breast. Yeah. Artificial scarcity. Yeah, it was artificial. Like they would give almost everything to export in order to pay for the Romanian national debt. So the scarcity was artificial. Violent queuing is a new American sport with guns. I don't think you would shoot someone over it, but like usually the person that was the asshole and would cut in line, they kind of knew that they were doing a bad thing. So, like, okay, let's assume the person has guns, and he cuts in queue, and other people call him... I almost wanted to say the gamer word. Would he shoot? No, because he's in the wrong, right? So... There's fights over that everywhere? I don't think so. Like, if you have a short queue, like... Okay, so when I go to the supermarket now, I get, like, maybe 5 to 10 minutes in queue... If the queue is ridiculous. I think like the biggest queues you get are in McDonald's. Right? Like if you go to McDrive or something. There's no reason to get upset over it. Yeah, it's annoying if someone cuts the queue. But, you know, it's not like if you sit there for like 3 fucking hours. And after 3 hours the chucklehead goes like, oh, I'm going to go in front. No. Abroad in Japan has some really good videos about what to do and not to do in Japan. And other useful informations. I will look at them after this. I will check. Superstitions. Romania has a list of superstitions, some which might consider unusual or misunderstood in Japan. If one were to avoid certain things or act in a specific way due to Romania's superstitions, it might require explanation. Is that actually true? My wife especially is very superstitious. I'm trying to think of some superstitions though that would require explanation. If a black cat crosses your road, you're supposed to go a different way because it's bad luck. I think like that would warrant explanation to a Japanese person. It's like black Neko. Neko-chan is black. Crossed in front of me on the street. Now it's bad luck. But other things that like spilling salt means that a fight is coming. Like if you spill salt on the table, it means that you're going to experience an argument soon. Which is kind of funny because usually when I spilled salt, they were screaming at me that it's going to cause a fight, and I was like pointing out that isn't you screaming at me for spilling the salt a self-fulfilling prophecy? Knocking on wood when you say so. Oh, alright, like this is the worst one. Holy shit. You don't talk about bad things because they come true. Like, this is the dumbest fucking thing ever. Especially, like, if you're a pragmatic person and you're trying to think, alright, well, the good thing is, like, if this happens, then we do this. If bad things happen, then we do that, right? No, you're not allowed. Like, for example, right? Let's say that your wife has a grandmother which is over the age of 80 and she's now having a fever, right? So you're talking with your wife and you're saying, okay, well, best case scenario, nothing happens. However, if something bad happens, it's good that we have some money on the side, right, to prepare for any type of event. Oh my God, how can you say that? Knock on wood. You're going to make it come true. I don't think it works that way. And I don't think like the cosmic forces of the universe are working in such a manner. It's in every religion everywhere, including Christianity. I don't know if that's the case. Didn't a UK politician cut the queue for Queen public funeral and pissed off people? And Beckham waited in line like everyone else. It was a sign of respect. Okay, so there are certain situations here, which is exactly what you described. So God, I will show you something that only a person from Romania understands. Why can't I find the picture of it? Ah, there we go. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay, so this is my town. And yes, all of these are people. In my town, there is a relic, a holy relic. The bones of Saint Paraskieva. Allegedly, if you go to Saint Paraskieva and you touch... How do you call it? It's not a coffin. Let me show you. I wonder if there... Oh, okay, there are pictures of it. Alright. Allegedly, she's inside. But, like, no one actually looked. I think it's her, like, they... But basically, there's supposed to be a human skeleton inside, right? Which belongs to Saint Paraskeva. Now, if you touch this thing, it gives you, I suppose, good luck. Yeah. It brings you good fortune if you touch it. I guess. Hey, look, it's Orthodox religion, alright? Like, there's different traditions and shit. But every year is Saint Paraskeva's Day, right? So these are pilgrims. They come from everywhere in order to touch it. And the whole thing, right? Because I get what the pilgrimage is about, right? You stand here for like 24 hours sometimes, and it's kind of like the penance, if you will, right? Like they feel a lot better when they finally touch it after waiting 24 hours. Like I get the idea. Like you're suffering, and then when you get like that reward, it feels so great, right? Because like you've waited so long, and you finally go and you touch it. Because you can touch it whatever the fuck you want, but like on Saint Paraskiva, like the pilgrims are coming, right? So if you want to touch it, you gotta wait for 24 hours in a queue. Now there's a lot of ladies that sometimes kick the bucket during this time period, because again, like you're waiting in the scorching heat. It's not healthy. Like as you can see, there's a lot of old women here. But there are certain people that can touch it without standing in queue. Doctors, politicians, famous people, I guess. And I never understand why they touch it. Because it's like, motherfucker, you can touch it whatever the fuck you want. Like, you're from this city, right? Like, when the pilgrims aren't here, you can literally go into the cathedral and you can touch it. So why don't you do that? Why are you coming literally in the fucking day when people are standing in queue for 24 hours and you're going in front of them just to fucking touch it? It makes no sense. But it is what it is, you know? And I even knew like some of my colleagues at med school, and they would wear their lab coat, their robes, their medical uniforms, and go to touch it, you know, like posing as a doctor. And I'm like, but why though? What's the fucking point? Like, just touch it when it's not St. Paraskiva's Day. What? I think it's like the herding effect, literally. It's like if everyone does something, you must do it as well. I can't explain it any other way. But yeah, you know, like, since we're talking about Romania superstitions, there you go. That's one of them. If the inside of your left hand itches, that means you are getting a letter in the mail. If the inside of your right hand itches, you will be getting money soon. Don't ask me why I don't make the rule. Dude, if you masturbate, you go blind. Or if you masturbate, you grow hair on your palm. Like, yeah. I'm really curious, like, who comes up with this shit? Like, who's the first person that decided that it's a thing? Superstitious requires auspicious timing or something. They are successful because they keep touching it. No, but unironically, it's like, I will touch it so my son can pass the medical exam. And I'm like, if your son didn't study, he ain't passing shit. Like, what? Like that would be a miracle, you know, not study for the medical exam. And because you touched it, your son gets to pass. V, you react this way with guns? What do you mean? It's the other way in Cuban culture. Your left hand itches, you get money. Your right hand itches, you lose money. Okay, I'll tell you another one. If the owl hoots next to your window, someone is going to die. And I'm thinking, like, what? Why this extreme, though? Like, people really panic because of that. Like, they shoo owls away. And I'm like, motherfucker, I never even seen an owl in my life. Actually, no, I did see one. It's so fucking cute. Honestly, like, owls, in my opinion, are the cutest birds you can have, but they're so difficult to keep because you need to feed them mice. In the United States is how the DMV looks. Alright, so, someone told me to look at Japan. Like, what was it? What YouTube channel was I asked to look at? Man, check rules for Japan. Unspoken rules over Japan. What I wish before I came. I don't think this is the one. There must be a channel. Oh, abroad in Japan. 12 things not to do. All right. Let's see. Why am I supposed to watch commercials? Here we go.
I didn't know a whole lot about Japan before I got here. I knew what Pikachu was, and I'd seen...
That's a really bad start. Like, if I was to go and travel into another country, like even if I were to go to America, I would still ask. It's like, what are some of the customs? Like, what is like it's a good thing, you know, because you go to America and then you see a guy with an assault rifle strapped on his back. Like in Romania, I would call the cops, but apparently in America, in many places, it's legal, right? So like you have these cultural differences, which you should be informed before traveling to another place. Obviously, like, if you travel to a close place, like, for example, if I travel within Europe, right, it's very unlikely I will see something that would shock me completely. But if you travel to another place that's really far away, like, so, for example, I would travel to Middle East, I would travel to Africa, even in America, like, I would definitely, like, read up on the things that you're supposed and not supposed to do.
In The Last Samurai about 3 times, and that was probably the extent of my knowledge. I actually did most of my reading about Japanese etiquette on the horrific 12-hour flight between London and Tokyo, and I've pretty much just winged it ever since. In hindsight, there are a lot of things I know now that I would have done well to comprehend before I got here, so today I've taken 5 years of experience in the field and compiled it into this list of 12 things not to do in Japan. So when you're on your flight here, you needn't worry about reading about cultural etiquette. You can sit and drinking isn't illegal. You're not going to get shouted at, and you're not going to get arrested by Ace Detective Sherlock.
Wait, what is it talking? Hold on.
Will get is the battle.
You're not supposed to do that in Romania either. Eating while walking. Actually, drinking while walking, you're not supposed to do it either. Why the fuck is Romania so similar to Japan in this regard? Again, it's not an illegal thing. It's just that people will look at you weirdly.
So walking down the street whilst eating and drinking isn't illegal. You're not going to get shouted at, and you're not going to get arrested by Ace Detective Sherlock Bones. But what you will get is the stare of disapproval. A lot of people don't know this one until you get here and never see anyone doing it. What you'll find is if someone wants to eat or drink something quickly outside, they'll buy it at the convenience store and then eat it or drink it out the front. Same with...
Yeah, same here. Like, if you have like a fast food joint, you see like a lot of people next to it eating it. It's also uncomfortable. Like, why would you eat while walking? It just, no.
Vending machines. If they buy something from the vending machine, they'll drink it there and then next to the vending machine. The main reason is people are very conscious about keeping the streets clean here.
I guess like the drinking one is a little bit exaggerated. Like you can drink while you're walking. I think like even in Japan, like people wouldn't look at you weirdly if you drink while walking. Eating is a different thing, right? Because you can make a mess, right? Like you can drop something on the ground, so...
And you don't want to ruin someone else.
It's also the thing that when you eat something, it can smell, right? So you're walking other people and you're giving the smell of the food. If it's morning, like maybe you can make someone hungry and they don't have time to eat until they go to work. So yeah, it's disrespectful, basically.
Day by having them walk through your spilt coffee. That said, all you need to do to avoid the stare of disapproval is just stop and eat and drink whatever it is there and then. Maybe it's on a bench, maybe you're just standing at the side of the road, whatever. Just don't walk whilst eating and drinking and you'll be alright. Three things to point out here. Number 1, never put your chopsticks upright into the rice.
Yeah, this is a funeral thing, I know. It's disrespectful because it reminds people of death.
This is part of a ritual conducted at funerals when offering rice to the spirits of the deceased. Similarly, number 2, never pass things from chopstick to chopstick, because again, this is done during funerals to pass the bones.
Yeah, that's like, imagine like passing something from your fork to another fork. It's just weird. Just let the person stab the thing, I guess.
of cremated relatives, so that kind of imagery doesn't go down well over dinner, as you'd expect. Probably best not to conjure up imagery surrounding death before you've even had your lunch. Oh, and thirdly, don't do the rubbing of the chopsticks. You know when you open wooden chopsticks, you like to do that to get rid of the splinters, and just because it's fun. Everyone loves doing that, right? But don't do it
I never fucking did it though.
in Japan because it's seen as rude to the owner, because you're basically saying, oh, your chopsticks are probably cheap, which, let's face it, they probably are.
Yeah, but like I guess like Japan has a culture where we're not supposed to say these things. Like there was a YouTuber in Japan which actually got canceled because he gave a negative review to a restaurant, even though like the restaurant deserved it. You're not supposed to express that. So, if a restaurant is bad, you're supposed to say it's average, right? So even if the food is awful and it feels like you're about to vomit, you're supposed to say, well, the food there, how's the food there? It's kind of average. It's like a politeness that's being taken to the extreme, unironically.
Probably the greatest thing about Japan ever, and the reason that I eat out several times a week, just because I save 20% automatically. In Japan, it's believed that customer service should always be exceptional, with staff giving 120% every time. 120%? 110%? 120% would be ridiculous. But it's not necessarily rude to tip someone, it just creates this awkward situation where the worker, the staff, would feel like you're assessing their performance and they could potentially lose face. So you might think you're being nice by giving someone a tip, but you're not. You're just creating an uncomfortable...
So in Romania, you have to tip, but it's not as bad as it is in America. Like I seen some really entitled waitresses online where they're like, oh, well, if you can't afford to tip, then you can't afford to eat out. In a way, like they're in the right because they get taxed for the tips, or they get paid lower because they expected to make the tip. But it's like the $5 a month thing, isn't it? It's like me going, $5 a month. How do you have hours of your time but not $5? Yeah, so I do appreciate a culture where you're not supposed to tip. Apparently, it's the same in the UK, except for London. Like, London is where the tourists go, so they do expect you to tip. But it's such a dumb practice. I really fucking hate it, to be honest. But it is what it is.
Situation for the worker, and they'll probably just reject your tip outright. So don't be tempted to do it. There's a real emphasis on being mindful when you're using public transport in Japan that's often completely absent in many countries. Numerous of the times that I've been riding a train in the UK and someone nearby has been screaming at their partner down the phone, and I felt like I was part of the argument, like some kind of unpleasant 4D experience. But given Japan's density, it's especially important to be mindful when you're stuffed in a train alongside fellow commuters, many of whom are sleeping as well. With that in mind, don't ever talk on your phone on the train.
It's the same in my country too. It is considered rude. I mean, you can talk on your phone if you do it in a way that other people can't listen. So you're not being loud or obnoxious. Because at the end of the day, it's basically like if you have a friend next to you and you can talk to them, right? Like, you're allowed. So if you do the same on a phone on the train and you're talking as if it's another person next to you, then it's fine. But if you're screaming and shouting, then definitely not.
Train, that's a massive, like... I remember for the first few years...
Yeah, apparently, like, this is a huge thing. In Romania, people don't even use business cards. We have social media, so... you know, like, a person will just give you their social media account or something, but in Japan, like, there's an entire ritual involving business cards.
Years that I lived here, whenever someone handed me a business card, I was utterly terrified, because until then, business cards to me had always just been a bit of paper or a bit of card with some writing on. But in Japan, they are so much more. Once you've exchanged business cards, the trick is to imagine you've just been handed the lost treasure of El Salvador or something. First, study it meticulously, the name, the job position, the details, and then either put it in your business card holder or just put it on the desk if you're at a business meeting. Just put it on the table. Never play around with business cards or put them in your back pocket because they're seen as a physical extension of the person themselves, and you don't want...
So if you're a hot woman, then you do put it in your back pocket or in your bra, huh?
Want to stuff somebody's physical extension down your back pocket. If you're doing business in Japan, always carry business cards. You don't want to be that awkward foreigner who stood there writing out their name and number 50 times in 1 hour on the back of a tissue.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you do get the gaijin pass. Like I've spoken with some Japanese people, and the gaijin pass is basically if you're a foreigner, you can get away with certain things that our Japanese people don't.
And for the record, I am usually that awkward foreigner scribbling down my details because I do forget to bring them, and subsequently...
Yeah, basically like treat the business card as if it's a voodoo doll. I think like that's the best example of it.
I hate myself when it happens.
Yes, you're good at your job, but
Who
you're
on earth blows their nose in public? That is so fucking disgusting, Jesus.
Standard procedure here is just to keep sniffing, or just to find a toilet or a broom cupboard to hide in. Blowing noses in public is pretty rude. Interestingly though, handkerchiefs are pretty popular here.
The thing is, like, I don't know, so like, everything he's describing here, except the business card, can be applied to Romania. The only thing is, like, I don't know, like, if in Japan you still find people that do it anyway, right? So, like, even though you're not supposed to blow your nose in public, like, do you find people that do blow their nose in public? Because we have them here as well, but they're considered low-class assholes. You do that, people will think you're a douchebag, an uncivilized swine, right? Like, people distance themselves from you. Like, if you're in a prestigious position, like you're a university professor or something, and you do that, it can be career-ruining. Obviously not the act itself, but like there's certain things that add up, and eventually like people will just not want to associate with you, so it ruins your public image.
I understand.
Yeah, it's the personal space thing. You're not supposed to face someone. Yeah.
Physical contact in Japan isn't really a thing. You'll bow a lot, you'll nod enthusiastically daily, but occasionally you might shake hands with someone if they're a good friend or a business client that you get on well with, but generally I avoid it unless someone makes the first move. And hugging in particular doesn't go down well. It's just met with expressions of awkwardness and despair. And also amongst couples, public displays of affection are phenomenally rare here, so don't be surprised.
Kind of interesting. I noticed that even in my country, public displays of affection are phenomenally rare. I think like maybe if you're in a club or something and you might notice some kissing, but yeah, usually they aren't as often as I used to see them.
Surprised if you get the stare of disapproval if you're kissing your partner frantically in the street. And I think that it should definitely be this. If you're the sort of person who feels...
God, I really hate this. See, this is where our cultures differ. Like, if you know something that is true, you're supposed to speak it out. Like, there's no, like, no, you need to be opinionated. Like actually, women respect you more if you're opinionated.
Need to have a debate or an argument about things or throw your opinions out there constantly, people will find you obnoxious and dislikable and probably just avoid you. Embedded heavily within the culture is this idea of keeping harmony and avoiding conflict at all costs, and it's a lot easier to do that.
I guess it depends where you are, Tactical Droid, but unironically, I haven't seen that many public displays of affection. Unless it's like in a bar or something, but like literally on the street, like seeing people kissing on the street, I haven't seen that. That is an exception actually in parks. So like if you go to a public park, you may see like people kissing on benches and stuff. But like other than that, no.
And people aren't at each other's throats throwing around opinions. Sometimes it can be frustrating when people are just unwilling to speak their minds or give you a clear yes or no answer. I mean, one time, one of my colleagues when I was teaching, I asked him, do you have any pets? And he said to me, maybe my cat is dead. Maybe your cat is dead. What does that mean? It is dead or is it not dead? It's not Schrodinger's cat, is it? It turned out the cat was definitely dead, but he was just the sort of person that always liked to use the word maybe and just not express certainty. But if there's one reason I've never seen a fight anywhere in Japan in the last 5 years, it's probably this reason. That people are a lot more careful about expressing their opinions and holding back.
I guess, but Jesus, like, can you imagine living in such a environment where you're not encouraged to like express yourself strongly? It's I wouldn't be able to do it. I think like other people would. Isn't this like how high school girls are? Like high school girls are usually like not opinionated.
Like what they really think.
Yeah, this is American savagery, by the way. Like walking with shoes in someone's home. What the fuck is that? Like we don't have it here either. Like your shoes are dirty from outside. Why on earth would you walk with them in someone's place? Now, apparently in Japan they extend that to certain businesses. In Romania, it's just like if you walk into someone's house. Like if you go in other places, you're supposed to have shoes on.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, but like this is like when you walk with shoes on into someone's house, you're disrespecting so you're not just disrespecting the person, you're disrespecting the house, like their entire family.
Be bothered to film that one. Everyone seems to know this one already anyway. When visiting someone's house or entering a public building.
Yeah, public buildings like school, like that's the only difference. But honestly, it's American savagery to go with your shoes into someone's house.
Like a school or going to a hot spring, you take off your shoes and switch to slippers before you go in. The easiest way of knowing if you have to change your shoes is there'll be a change in elevation in the floor. So when you go in, there'll be a little stair, and that's when you know. This is the one thing on the list where failing to stick to the rules will have noticeable results. A few years ago, a friend and I visited a public bathhouse in Kyoto, and we went in, and you're supposed to take your shoes off. For some reason, he didn't. I don't know why. I don't think he noticed or saw. There was a little old woman sitting behind the entrance counter where you kind of pay, and when we walked in, she saw that he still had his shoes on, and she shot up with terrifying energy and ran over and grabbed him and took him to the front and was like, get your shoes.
They also have like expensive carpets. They're made out of straw. Tatamis. Yeah, they have tatamis. Apparently, if you walk with shoes on, you can ruin the tatami. And the tatami is very expensive, right? Like they have like this entire art of handcrafting tatamis. So probably this is why that old woman freaked out like that.
Shoes off, get your shoes off. And that image has stayed burnt into my mind. This quiet little old woman suddenly becoming so alive and animated by this terrible event. And ever since then, I've never forgotten to take my shoes off.
Pasta de dinți.
Right. It's North America. It's based on a my house, my rules. Yeah, but like, if I it's the same in Romania. Like if I walk into someone's house, I take my shoes off. Now, if the person says you can leave your shoes on, then you can leave your fucking shoes on. But unless the person says that, you take off your fucking shoes. I don't even get it though. Like it's more comfortable to sit with your shoes off in someone's house. Like why would I even want to sit with my shoes on? Like it's not comfortable to have your shoes on, is it? I never understand this. It's like, why do Americans insist on going with shoes on in someone's house? Maybe I should just keep my shoes on just to get humane reactions from them. Yeah, but like, you definitely get them to be animated and very opinionated if you have your shoes on, but like, you probably won't be able to speak with them afterwards. There's no way Americans have clean floor. It's not about the floor though. It's the carpet, right? Like, so here's the thing. Like, I will explain to Americans why you need to take your shoes off. Because it's not like, oh, you stepped in shit or something. Even though that is a possibility. Or oh my god, you're carrying germs. No, it's not even that, right? Because I'm not eating off the floor. Now, I'll tell you the issue. If I have a house that doesn't have carpets, then it's no problem. Because it's easy to vacuum, it's easy to sweep. But if you have carpets and you're coming with shoes that are dirty, they have dust on them, right? You're putting dust on my fucking carpet. Do you know how difficult it is to get that cleaned? Right? Now imagine if you were to just walk with shoes on that carpet every day, it would get really messy really fast. And then I would have to spend money on cleaning the car. Why would I want to do that, right? Just take your fucking shoes off. It's not fucking rocket science. So we can get the fuck out if you want to go. Well, if you want to go, then don't fucking come to my place. If you come to my place, you're going to stay, enjoy the dinner, relax. And when you have to go, you go like a normal person. You put your shoes back on. I even have like one of those helpers that help the foot slide into the shoe. How about smelly foot? Jesus Christ. Like, how bad does it smell? Take a shower. Holy shit. Just take a shower before visiting someone, dude. I think like if you have mud on your shoes, like at that point, it is common sense to take it off. Like if you have mud on your shoes, even if you enter a public building, you're at least expected to wipe your feet, right? Let me explain American culture of shoes aside. They don't walk, they drive car everywhere. The smelly foot argument is silly. How smelly can your foot possibly be? You know, as someone who went to the hospital and actually saw patients, they can be pretty fucking smelly. I think like people who have smelly feet usually have like a disease associated with the foot. So like if a person has diabetes or something, they can have various foot infections or fungi, and it can smell. But you take a shower and it's not going to smell as bad. You know, like the people who stay at the hospital, they do not shower often because they're fucking sick. They're bedridden. So if the carpets are in a rental and are 20 years, the carpet needs replacement? No, dude, that's not the thing. Like, if you're going to walk with dust on the carpet, it gets messy even if it's a new carpet. As a professional carpet cleaner, bare feet are worse for carpets than shoes. No, I disagree. I don't care if you're a carpet. You don't know your business then. Like, why would feet be worse for carpets? You're not walking barefoot. You're walking with socks. What do socks have that are right? Like I understand bare feet. You know, like if you walk around the house and you pick up various stuff on your foot, okay, fine. But like if you have socks on, then it's no problem. And not to mention, like shoes have dust. American wear shoes on the bed. Get the fuck out. I don't believe that. Yeah, we're not talking about bare feet. Unless like you go outside and you have your shoes in your bare feet in shoes, which you shouldn't, because then yeah, I understand why it would smell. Bare feet probably have oils. I guess like if you have like a skin disease or something. Like to have that much oil until it becomes visible. The Romanian troll knows more than the expert in carpets. You know, there are certain fields where even if you're an expert on, like other people know as well, because it's called common sense. Like if you're an expert janitor, that doesn't make you, you know, like more educated in cleaning than your mother. Like your mother dealt with stains as well, you know? It's just... I wear Crocs in my house. Those Crocs never go outside, yeah. I don't believe the shoes on the bed thing. I believe that it's a harmful and dangerous misinformation, conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. I specified bare feet. Foot oil attracts and holds dirt. Very gross. Okay, yes, but we're not talking about bare feet, right? Like, we're talking about you're going into someone's house and you're supposed to take your feet. You're supposed to take your shoes off. I want to show you something, and you guys can tell me if I'm right or not. So I made a video. Maybe some of you managed to see it, but this is how Lara Croft used to look like. Okay, this was what, like 2013, right? This is how they made her recently. Is it just me? Or is she looking like a man? Do I see men everywhere, chat? She looks like she has Down syndrome at the very best. This is a AAA company, by the way. You know, like look, like right here. This is the Habsburgian jaw, isn't it? It does look like she has been inbred in the Habsburgian dynasty. Just what? Why do they do? And obviously the tits are nerfed. I mean, there's no question about it. But like, is this feminine? Like, look at this, right? This is Ushikushi. This is like my brain goes into protect mode. Like I must protect. I must make sure that she is safe. I mean, the game developers are laughing at us at this point, aren't they? She looks like an angry feminist? No. She's not that bad. I can see it. How women could look like her. But like, this isn't the problem. It's like how women look like... Fucking hell, this is a video game. Okay? I don't want to see average people in my video game. Like, you're asking me for money. If I want to see average people, I go outside. Why can't I see this in my video game? Like, the technology is there, right? You can't do this. Why would you choose to do this instead? Well, what does real women even have to do with the conversation? We're not talking about real women. We're talking about fictional characters in a video game. And if you can do this, if you have the technology to do this, what is the purpose of doing this? Huh? Like in commercial. If you're doing a commercial for a Coca-Cola, are you going to put a bottle that's filled with mud? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's Coca-Cola bottles out there that have mud on them. Right? Like, it's a realistic depiction, but like, why would you do it? It's a commercial for Coca-Cola. You're going to put a perfect looking can. So why would you do this in a video game then? What's the purpose? Yeah, no symmetry in eye. Like there's just so many things that, like, look, if I'm making a video game, you guys know. If an artist came up with this, I would reject it. I would fucking reject it. Like, look, no eye symmetry, forehead too big. What is with the Habsburgian jaw? Right? Like tits are too small. Dude, do you want people to buy our product or not? There's literally no reason. It's not like it's a technological limitation. There's no technological constraints. And again, like, I want to hear the argument with what's wrong with this. Why is this bad now? Why are we moving away from this? This was perfect. Like, this didn't have massive milkers, and I was like, okay, I'll make a concession. I'll go with this. It's fine. Meet you halfway. I don't get what I want. You don't get what you want. It's fine. Good enough for Ubisoft. I think, like, that's Ubisoft waifu level, isn't it? A lot of people who still play Skyrim install mods. Unironically, they're starting to remove and ban mods. So, yeah. I wonder for how long this argument, but there's going to be mods, is going to hold. And not to mention, not all games can be modded. I don't think, like, the old Tomb Raiders could be modded. Right? So, you need to plan the game with mods in mind, so... Show Alaras, let's pick the favorite. A lot of people are... like, this is the most disingenuous argument. Oh, wow. Look at this mamacita. But anyway, right? Like people would show this Tomb Raider and be like, "Oh, she was just a bunch of polygons," and I'm like, "Yeah, because this is how the graphics were back then." Like they didn't make her a bunch of polygons because they could make this, but they chose to make the no. They made this because this was the technology that was available, and not only that. People found it hot. I know people who jerked off to this, so don't diss the polygons, please. But what is this? Like Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, aggressive This looks good. Hold on. The power of beauty makes me want to buy it. I don't know what the fuck this is, but I'm interested. Look at this. I mean, this is definitely what I would think when I'm imagining Lara Croft. This picture is... This actress is oozing femininity. I'm trying to figure out... Variety has announced Dominic West will be playing Lord Richard Croft. Okay, so this is... Oscar winner, blah, blah, blah. The film will be directed by Roar Uthag to be released March 2018. Did it get cancelled? Like, this is old news. This is from 2017. Oh, they just... Okay, so they put the face of the actor... Ah, I see what they did there. The actress is flat as a board, apparently. But they put her face on the video game character. Ah. Yeah, the actress is flato. Flato. I guess it is in coherence with how things are going in the gaming world, right? Like, every new installment, her tits are getting smaller, so... She's going to become Abby in a couple of years by the way things are going. Angelina Jolie is the only acceptable Lara Croft. Well, why is it so hard to put a sexy woman to play the role? I don't know. No, flat is injustice. Anyway, right. Thank you for watching. Appreciate the super chats. And I'll see you guys later. Take care.